So now that we know what markets you guys are focused on, I want to go into a little bit more detail about kind of how you're approaching this current time in the cycle. Obviously we're going through something unique, and you've got to be on your toes. Like for us, for example, we're taking a look at delinquency reports throughout the month. We're trying to see whether or not that tenant base can pay rent and they're just paying late, or if they truly can't pay rent. So are there certain things that you guys are looking at right now when you dig into a deal? Eric, if you don't mind sharing some thoughts.
Yeah, so it's two different things. The first one is managing our current assets, right? And we went from 84% occupancy to 100% occupancy, physical occupancy from when COVID started. So occupancy is up, which is great, and actually collections were at 95% until this month. So we're right in the middle of figuring out how do we communicate that what the CDC said was, not saying you don't have to pay rent. So it's just a matter of seeing what your tenants do on the 1st or 5th of the month, and then communicating ahead of that. You want to prep them as much as you can ahead of time with education, really. Just like here's what the state says, here's what the city says, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do. Can we help you with a payment plan, whatever it is? So the asset management part of it is really just constant communication between your property manager and your tenants. And then on the buying side, it's knowing all of that. It's probably very common for everyone to say, "Oh, more conservative underwriting." Well, yeah, we underwrite with the trailing 12 or trailing 36 or whatever we can get our hands on, right? But what does F12 look like? Future 12 is what we really have this unknown of to underwrite. So it's very difficult, and you can be as conservative as you want, but you really just never know. So looking at other factors around the area, is there diverse jobs? Can someone working at a factory, if the factory stops production, are there other jobs for that person? That is the most essential, in my opinion, piece of this whole thing, is to have job diversity. So we kind of look for that. Like I said earlier, the knowing why the owner is selling. Maybe they're selling now because it's top of the market and they can get a pretty penny for something. A lot of 2019 minded sellers right now, and we are 2021 and 2022 minded buyers, I feel like, right now. So there's a lot of deals falling in and out of escrow. And we're just doing what we can to find the best deal that fits our parameters, and just watching it as carefully as ever.
Nice. Yeah. How about you, Whitney?
Yeah, we closed a project, like a few days before the country shut down. I'm so thankful that it got closed when it did. It was actually our lender's last loan, believe it or not. And we didn't know that right then, but later they said, like, you were it. That was the last loan we did. And that was it at that time. And so we're very grateful, that it got closed. And like similar to what Eric mentioned, that property, it was like 87 or 8% occupied at that time. It was actually like 82 or 3% when we actually put it under contract, and we worked really hard to get the occupancy up before we actually closed. But after that, even through COVID, it's like 98, 99% occupied within about 3 months. Mm-hmm. And so, it's performed very well. But again, I want to go back to, how you buy things and how you underwrite a little bit, some of those things, because we had, from day one, we had $1.5 million in a reserve budget. And so were we worried about COVID? Not really. We can weather most storms with that kind of capital. And so, but we have, great debt, and it's a stabilized property. It's cash flowing. It's had like a 56% break even occupancy. So we weren't that worried about, weathering the storm of COVID. But it's been very well, or it's done very well. Even during COVID, we purchased that next property in Boise and got almost a $3 million discount, because of COVID. It was actually under contract with another group, fell out of contract. We'd already seen it before and it came back. They knew we could close and we did. And so, we were ready to buy. and we got a deal, because of COVID as well, and so we're still ready to buy. Similar to what Eric said, we are going to approach them very lightly, and look at comb through as many details as possible. But we're still going to, expect higher delinquencies or maybe no rent growth in the first year, and we're going to have such a better understanding now of just what industry tenants work in than we've ever had before. We already do, but I think that's probably helped all of us through this COVID thing, is having a better understanding of where our tenants work, what do they do, what's the likelihood of half of them losing their job. So that's helped us, I think, to understand that. But no, we're buyers. We're coming through with a fine tooth comb, but we're definitely ready to buy and want to continue to be ready to buy over the next year for sure.
So Eric, in terms of some of the people online, or some people have syndicated a few deals, some people are looking to syndicate their first deal. What do you have any suggestions as far as getting started and just I think you guys have touched on it, but a lot of it's just so much of it's mindset. But
Yeah.
do you have any suggestions for people?
Absolutely. I would say number one is go 7 layers deep on yourself to create that why. You've got to have a strong why, something you're so passionate about that on your worst day you're going to get out of bed and perform. So start with a why. There's tons of books out there you can read. You can do lots of research on how to create your why, but ask yourself what's driving you. Then you ask yourself, why is that driving me? Then ask yourself, why is that important? Then ask yourself, why is that important? And just keep on going until you get to a granular thing that is really the driving force for you. So have a strong why is number one. Also say, create vision boards. I've got a things vision board so that those things are no longer in my head. They're on a board. I have a gratitude board that also has my why, my identity statement, my ideal day. And then I have a goals and accomplishments vision board. And that's big on big boards across from my desk. And I look at that. So create vision boards. That stuff is important to feed your brain. Feed yourself with that type of stuff. That's the kind of output you're going to have also. So, and then start with, I would recommend starting with someone else who is experienced. Now, whether that is as a limited partner, investing in someone else's deal, that's a great way to start. But I would say try to find somebody who's willing to talk to you about what that is, and maybe give you some education along with your 50 to 100K or whatever you're investing in their deal, right? So, but if you can, if you want to be a general partner and operator of your own deal, start with somebody else and see what value you can add to their team. Somebody that has experience is going to be able to help you through your first deal. So try to add enough value to a person or community that you're brought in and you can contribute in a significant way to someone else's deal. That will get you started, and you'll feel more comfortable. There's less risk to you because they already know what they're doing. Also, I'll leave with this: join groups, talk to people, network, get coaching. Get coaching and take action. If you sit there on the sidelines for 3 months, if you're highly analytical and you're sitting there thinking, well, it's all free on the internet, I can find it, I can research it, I can check boxes myself. If that's you, put that down for a second and go do something actionable. You must take action or you will never succeed in this business. It doesn't matter if you can read and learn it all on your own. Unless you take action, you won't succeed. So drive with a why and take action. I guess to kind of put bookends on those.
Awesome. What about you, Whitney?
Yeah, I mean, I would mirror so much of what Eric just said about your why and whatnot, but I would even go before that too and say, personally, when I started going to lots of conferences, I mean, over the last few years, it's not uncommon to be to a dozen or 15 conferences, a year all over the country, because your network is so important, right? And who you're meeting. But also, when I first started doing that, and someone would be up in the front of the room, it happens at every conference, right? Somebody's talking about your why and your mindset. There's a reason they're talking about it at every conference, but when I first started doing that, that's when I would be at the back of the room and tuning out and saying, don't give me that nonsense. Give me some meat and potatoes, right? Tell me what I can do. Give me some actionable steps. And that was my thought about it, at the time, really, about having a stronger why, or, thinking about mindset as far as real estate. But that had to change, and it did change. And now, looking back, I can see just the importance of our why when we nailed that down, just like Eric talked about, going so deep on that. And this is what you're so passionate about, and how you can help people. It just really motivates you, and it'll motivate other people too. Just I was talking about my wife and other people in our family, now that they can see the effects of our family and adoption and all those things. So it's bigger than that. I would say, your daily routine is so important in changing the way you do things, and consistency outperforms intensity every time. So it's just like Eric was talking about, these things, the vision boards or whatever it may be for you, that you're reminding yourself of those things every day and keeping yourself motivated. And it's the little things. If you only have 30 minutes a day, every day, to commit to your real estate business, that's better than, 4 hours one time per week, just consistency, so Eric mentioned this too, like working for free, adding value. I say, find something you're really good at, even if it's not specifically in real estate. I bet there's something you can do to add value to somebody that's way ahead of you. No doubt about it. And so much now is on social media, and so many people that are even younger than me. I don't consider myself that old, but there's people that are much younger than me that are much better at social media and marketing than I am. And so there's ways that you have skills, even if it's not something you went to school for, that you're better at it than potentially a lot of people that are way ahead in the real estate business. And you could reach out and say, hey, I was looking at your website and thought, if you did these things, I've seen this work in the past, and I'm an expert at this, or I can help you do that. It's just to create the conversation and potentially help that person. But I just want to encourage you, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. And so put yourself out there, get uncomfortable, keep marching forward.